Chapter 1900. The man who was talking to 16 was listening by the window. His wife was with him. The children were sleepy and had gone to sleep after dinner. The young one was not even old enough to enter school yet. The husband and wife wanted to know more about the situation. So they moved a bench and sat facing the window to look at the light outside. The man's hand was on the woman's shoulder, and the woman's hand was around the man's waist. After a while, the man's hand was around the woman's waist, and the woman leaned her head on the man's body. The two of them started to doze off as they listened. It was obviously a tense matter of arresting people and sealing off the street, but the couple felt happiness and peace from it. They were not the only ones. Many people felt the same way, because 16 was guarding them. What was there to worry about with the army standing guard outside their homes? What's in that big bag next to you? Can I ask? The local soldier was curious about the big military bag. Compressed biscuits, a water bottle, alcohol cotton balls, fire starter tools, sterile bandages, tactical knives, medicine for sore wounds, military coats, ropes, sewage filter cloth, rock sugar, soap, special medicine, and so on. The 16 guards spilled the beans without hiding anything. Why are you bringing these things? The local soldier didn't understand. Were you bringing these things for a long trip? We're always prepared. If there's a disaster, we'll set off immediately. If there's a problem, we won't have to look for equipment. At first, the winged knights were like this. Later, we trained well and joined them. Li Dongzhu said it's a 24-hour, all-weather army. Equipment is our life. We can fight at any time and win. 16 puffed out his chest. We're different from you. Our competitors are the winged knights. We're not afraid to fight the winged knights with the same equipment, because we have more people. The winged knights only have 30,000 people, and we have more than 200,000. Everyone trains hard. No matter how bad we are, we can beat them with a few people. The local soldier couldn't hear 16's thoughts. He yearned for the big bag and wanted to have one. Can you buy it with money? I have chickens at home, and I make some money by selling salted and rotten eggs. He wanted to buy it. I'm guessing that His Majesty and Li Dongzhu are in Luoyang this year. Brothers, we can get one before the new year. Later on, we'll take turns to wear the overcoat to sleep while the other person will be on night duty. We'll change shifts every 2 hours. Luoyang's nights are not much warmer than Chang'an. It's great to have you around. The 16th guard smiled. With one more person, they would have time to rest, and they wouldn't have to stay up all night. Are you guarding the door? The local soldier looked at the door behind him. The couple who were about to fall asleep inside immediately woke up and looked at the door together. The door was locked. They had to open it. What are you thinking about? Sleep outside. After that, you will receive new training. Find a place to sleep at any time. The 16th guard said with a smile. In the past, we always had to borrow a place to stay. The local soldier looked at the stars in the sky and felt the chill. He said that he should adopt this method. You said it was in the past, but it's different now. The strongest soldiers will not offend the common people. The strongest soldiers will stand in front of the common people in times of danger. It's cold at night. I have a military coat. You'll get sick. There's medicine. Are you hungry? Do you want some compressed biscuits? I'm not eating. The hungrier I get, the more energetic I get. As the two of them spoke, the man in the room left the stool and went to the door to remove the bolt. With a creak, the door opened a crack. He came back to take his wife to bed and told the people outside that they could come in at any time. The winged knights were arresting people and taking some of their families with them. They left Luoyang Palace and went up the mountain. The crowing of roosters rose and fell, and the people who opened restaurants woke up out of habit. The common people who needed to get up early to work put on their clothes, casually washed their faces, and went out without brushing their teeth. The sky was blue with a hint of pink. Before the sun jumped out of the horizon, the sky in the west lit up first. Just like how it often happened when Li Yi was a disaster relief soldier. Many soldiers lay outside to sleep. They were not under the eaves, and were easily exposed to the wind. One person slept while the other placed a kerosene lamp on the ground and walked back and forth. After a while, he would go to someone else's place, chat for a while, and then turn back. If the requirements were not strict, they would not be allowed to communicate. What if they couldn't hear what was going on elsewhere, and the enemy sneaked in? Hurry up and cook. Leave the door open and don't come in. When we were young, we had to give the place to the soldiers and cook for them. The man of the couple opened the door to take a look and asked his wife to cook. He couldn't understand why they couldn't ask the soldiers to come in. He didn't know that this operation was to prevent the common people from losing things in their homes, and that there were women in their homes. If the soldiers went in, they couldn't explain anything. Reputation was more important than life. Otherwise, why would someone use death to prove their innocence after being wronged? And others didn't care about his death. The sun jumped out, and the morning glow was so beautiful. Groups of people drove to each square and began to call out, "It's time to eat, time to eat." "Husband, I haven't finished cooking yet." The man's wife heard the noise and ran to the door to take a look. "Who's cooking so early in the morning?" The man was surprised. The people of the 16th Guard extinguished the lamp. "You can leave it for lunch. Li Dongzhu is here, so how can there be a lack of food?" The Bashui regiment's strongest point is logistics. "Bashui Zhuangzi?" the man asked. "Regiment. At home it's Zhuangzi. Outside it's the regiment. No matter when or where. As long as the Bashui regiment is here, there are no logistical problems. Eat with your family. Thank you for cooking for us. Are the two children awake?" The people of the 16th Guard heard what the man said before, so he couldn't stop him. Now the rice was just rice, dry porridge and pickled vegetables. They could eat 3 meals a day and eat this in the morning. It was a happy life. The thick porridge wasn't stirred, so it wouldn't spoil at night. If it really didn't work, they could leave it for lunch, then heat it up and turn it into dry rice. After that, they could still eat it at night, and it wouldn't spoil. The two children got up reluctantly and brushed their teeth with pig hair toothbrushes. They could sell shrimp cages to make money, so they naturally had toiletries. "Uncle, I dreamed of you last night. You're so nice," the child said to the people of the 16th Guard. "It's nothing." The people of the 16th Guard responded with a smile. "You killed children and ate their meat. You ate more than 10 children. When you came to me, you said you were full and let me go. You're so nice." The child continued. The people of the 16th Guard were speechless. He was a little regretful. He shouldn't have given the child candy yesterday. He had trapped the child's heart with honey. "Uncle, I'm just kidding. When I woke up in the morning, the rooster crowed and I was annoyed. In a daze, I saw you chasing the rooster away and saying not to disturb the child's sleep. It's written in the newspaper that when I hear the sound, I'll slowly wake up from my dream." The child saw the look on the other person's face and giggled. "Drink some water first. We'll eat later." The person of the 16th Guard tapped the child's forehead with his finger. Chapter 1901. The person who delivered the food approached. The cart was pulling several large buckets and baskets. "They just cooked for us, but the food is not ready yet. I promised to treat them to a meal, and I'll pay," the 16th Guard said to the delivery man. "We came from the mountain and started preparing yesterday afternoon. His Majesty is treating the people of Luoyang Palace to breakfast. Anyone who is willing to eat can get a share." The delivery man tilted his head to show where he came from. They were working hard to make breakfast outside, treating everyone in Luoyang Palace to a meal. The local soldier looked at the buckets on the cart and turned to the 16th Guard, wanting to get an answer from him. "Aha!" the 16th Guard coughed. "It's just a routine operation. Don't be surprised. I told you last night logistics. But you just wanted to pay." The local soldier was doubtful. "Don't worry about those irrelevant things. Let's eat." "What's for breakfast?" the 16th Guard interrupted. "Spicy soup, steamed buns, mustard and pickled vegetables." The delivery man wanted to laugh. As he spoke, he took out bowls and gave them to those who didn't have utensils. "I have utensils at home. Come in and eat. There's also a table. Life is good now, and there's plenty of furniture." The man invited them again. They didn't cook their own food, and now they had to eat someone else's. "Dad, move the table out." The hostess knew what to do. The older child took the younger one to get the utensils. The couple carried the things to the door, and the 16th Guard and the local soldiers helped. There was pepper in the spicy soup, but there was a shortage of it in the Tang dynasty. It had to wait for a while before it appeared in large quantities. The people knew that spicy soup was eaten by the rich. It was written in the newspaper how to make it, but ordinary people couldn't afford to buy it. The children looked at the steamed buns and spicy soup and wondered, should I have more steamed buns or more soup? The people in the square ate the breakfast given by His Majesty. The restaurant owners were depressed because they couldn't sell their food in the morning. They were anxious and drank the spicy soup. They didn't feel good, but they didn't dare to protest. Lu Bang, who opened a porridge shop, was drinking spicy soup in front of his stall. The fire in the stove was removed, and the porridge was ready. Otherwise, he wouldn't have dared to remove the fire. His shop only sold porridge and steamed buns, pork, chicken, vegetables, and vegetable steamed buns. The steamed chicken steamed buns were made with thin chicken thighs and breasts. They didn't taste good because of the lack of oil. The newspaper told him to buy chicken oil and refine it at home. When he mixed it with the oil, he added it together with the vegetable oil. This way, the oil would be more delicious. His house was now full of people, as was the case in the morning. His buns were the same size as the others, and the price was the same. The difference was that the skin was thin, and there was a lot of stuffing. The commoners only ate meat buns based on the amount of meat. Vegetable steamed buns were filled with leftover chicken oil. Although they were said to be vegetarian, there was meat in them. Father, are the buns still on the table? Lu Bang's second daughter-in-law came over and asked with a worried expression. The people who ate in and out of the shop did not buy his food, nor did they eat his free salted vegetables. They all ate Her Majesty's food. Serve the ones that are fully wrapped. They have to be steamed out. Those that are not wrapped. Old Lu Kanji shop? As Lu Bang spoke, someone brought over a booklet. Yeah, it's not for sale today. Lu Bang looked at him blankly. Grandfather, the Li family Zhuangzi's people. His eldest grandson was eating. Just as he was about to head to the academy after finishing his meal, he saw the word murky embroidered on the chest of the visitor and reminded his grandfather. Which Li family Zhuangzi? Lu Bang's mind was filled with unsold buns and kanji. The Li family Zhuangzi of Bashui. He has a word embroidered on his chest. No one dares to impersonate him. Lu Bang's eldest grandson put down his things and leaned forward. He looked up at the farmer to confirm. The Li Dongzhu's people? Sit down quick, I'll wipe it for you. Lu Bang reacted. He had to treat him well. No. Continue to wrap it. Steam it when you're done. We'll buy it. It's 5% lower than the market price. We know you still have a profit, so we won't lose anything. We won't have to run back and forth, wash the dishes, and save the salted vegetables. The farmer wrote it down in his booklet and told Lu Bang. Lu Bang stopped wiping the stool with his sleeve. You can buy it. You don't need it. Lu Bang could not understand. The Li family Zhuangzi could treat the entire Luoyang palace to spicy soup. How could they not cook? Give it to the soldiers at noon. It's going to rain. There's no dew at night, and there'll be clouds in the morning. The Zhuangzi's people are too busy. The farmer said according to the routine. In fact, not to mention the rain, even if it was hailstorms they could still cook. What about the big restaurants? Lu Bang's eldest son calculated the money they earned and thought of the restaurants. Why do you care about others? Make a fire. Quick, steam the buns. Lu Bang glared at his son. Is there not enough for you to worry about? We know the profits of the restaurants. Give them 5%. If they sell the buns for 2 coins each, we'll buy 2 for 1 coin. If they don't sell, then forget it. The farmer said with a smile. Small businesses were treated differently from large businesses. Restaurants did not make profits from breakfast. Last night's incident had the greatest impact on the restaurant. I knew it. They sell it expensive. The eldest son muttered and ran to work. The buns in Shaluo Village's drunken immortal house cost 10 coins each. Why don't you say it's expensive? Lu Bang glared at his son's back. After he finished speaking, he remembered that there were people in front of him. He smiled awkwardly. Your buns are not expensive. Expensive? The farmer admitted. There were still buns that cost 20 coins each. Live shrimp were sent to drunken immortal house. They were processed in front of the customers and wrapped with 2 spoons of chili oil as dipping sauce. Those who did not eat spicy food were given pepper. They bought 2 buns to eat. A pile of side dishes and set meals were placed on the table. The profits were still more than 80%. They had to pay tax. 10% tax could be checked. The fixed tax paid by other restaurants was calculated according to the market situation. There was no invoice. The Li family Zhuangzi's 2 drunken immortal houses were always producing new products. It was not easy to set a quota, so they kept the accounts and let people check. So far, no one had checked. Li said it was how much it was. The officials still trusted him. Otherwise, he had many ways to increase the cost and reduce the profits. He could even turn it into a negative profit. There's a reason why it's expensive. Lu Bang insisted. That's reasonable. The farmer smiled and nodded. You guys go ahead. I'll go to the next place. Have you eaten? Bring some buns to eat on the way. Lu Bang's wife brought some buns over. I've eaten. I really can't eat anymore. We'll eat at noon. The farmer refused and quickly went to look for a place with his companion. Sigh. Li Dongzhu is so benevolent. Lu Bang's wife put down the buns. She turned around and saw her eldest grandson. She smiled. Kids, study hard. In the future, you'll be an official in the Tang dynasty. Be a good official. Don't catch the bad ones. Okay. I know. The child was obedient and sensible. He drank the last mouthful of spicy soup and went to school with his school bag. In Ziwei City, many officials did not think that Li Dongzhu was benevolent. They were in a state of silence when eating last night. There were people protecting them, so they did not dare to speak. When sleeping, they naturally did not speak. They could not even talk in their sleep. In fact, not speaking during eating and sleeping meant not talking when chewing, and not talking when sleeping. The former would make one choke, the latter would make one excited or angry. Now that they had not eaten, they were separated and asked about the situation. They were isolated from the outside world and did not know the situation outside. They were thinking about the consequences of lying. Chapter 1902. Xiao Yi, so you came here to steal food. Quick, push the cart away. When Li Yi was about to eat breakfast, Bai Gu came over. He called for someone to push Li Yi's cart to another place. Chili soup, my chili soup. Li Yi found a tray and placed 3 bowls of chili soup on it. The little girl Feng Qingdai and Li Fuquan could only find a tray themselves. Their master didn't care. At another place, a group of people was waiting. Most of them were discussing matters with Li Yi when they were eating. It was only convenient to see Li Yi when they were eating. Usually they were busy. Li Yi had his own matters to deal with, so it was difficult for them to gather together. Li Yi looked at the people around him and stood in front of the jianbing. He asked, do you all eat scallions, coriander, and chili? Everyone kept quiet and waited. Sigh. Li Yi sighed helplessly and manipulated 2 jianbing to make jianbing. He knew who could eat what. He was a family doctor. The 3 ministers of Luoyang, who were confirmed to be fine, watched from the side and felt very uncomfortable. They knew how arrogant Li Yi was. If he wanted to be a first-rank official, he could wear an official's uniform at any time. If he wanted to catch someone and deal with them, he could guarantee that the person wouldn't be able to escape. Such a high-ranking person turned out to be a handyman. The key was that he knew the health of the ministers and the people in the palace. Looking at the busy figure in front of him, he looked like a clown who was performing for others. He was like a very short dwarf. Even if an ordinary student had such an opportunity, they would reject it. It was too belittling themselves. The person who made jianbing didn't care and performed for others. The key was that who dared to belittle him? It was said that he could summon a weapon that could wipe out 1,000 soldiers at any time and kill people like cutting grass. Send it according to your position. Send it to the lowest position first. It's raining today, so the air pressure is low. I didn't put scallions for everyone to avoid irritating their stomachs. Li Yi wore a mask and was busy. Sets of jianbing were spread out. They were first sent to the people at the back. They couldn't eat the jianbing immediately after receiving it. They had to wait for Her Majesty to take the first bite. The earlier it was, the colder it was, and the worse it tasted. Some people didn't add coriander, while others added more chili sauce. He knew all the details about the people in the court, who could make him personally cook for them. Giving it to the commoners did not count. Any commoner who saw him could ask for a set of crepes, provided that he had the equipment and ingredients. Xiao Yi, add another egg for this old man. Bai Gu leaned over and looked through the glass. This isn't yours. You still have to wait. Being such a high-ranking official, it's always late to eat. Li Yi was still able to take care of 2 people at the same time. I know. I'll add one more when it's my turn. The weather is getting colder, so I need some nourishment. Bai Gu continued. He wanted to see how Li Yi looked when he was working. There was a sense of beauty and rhythm. There's some in the spicy soup. I've designed a set of fishing tackle. The price is high, so we can harvest a batch. The match factory will be built before the end of the year. There will be a lot of processes and procedures. I plan to sell the matches at a low price. After all the costs and taxes are deducted, the profit will be 0.5%. That's 0.5%. Li Yi saw that Bai Gu was idle and chatted with him. 200 years to recover the costs? Bai Gu did a simple calculation and came to a conclusion. The profit after the cost depreciation. Li Yi flipped the crepes and broke the eggs. 30% of the taxes? 33% of the taxes? You are so pitiful. The profit is less than the taxes. Bai Gu blamed himself. Did he bully Xiao Yi too much? Seeing that Xiao Yi didn't dare to make money, he didn't add the eggs. Yes, that's why the match factory is expanding. For example, the place where the raw materials are supplied. The match factory can't afford to buy it. Li Yi lowered his head slightly. He looked helpless and wronged. Then, which piece of land do you like? Tell me, as long as you want it. It can't be less. Bai Gu suddenly realized something. That's not right. Why would Xiao Yi do business that will incur losses? How do you calculate the 0.5% profit? It's not as much as you say. Old Bai, I will add another egg for you. Li Yi was really helpless this time. He had taught his disciple, but the master was starving. It's not easy to trick him. Don't play this trick on me. Tell me, are you going to beat around the bush and pay less taxes? In the end, you will get 50% of the profits? Bai Gu was even more convinced that Xiao Yi was up to no good. I am already so old. Why are you still lying to me? Do you have any respect for your elders? Bai Gu was very angry. It's the kind of anger that can't be appeased with another egg. The barbarians in Haizhou have not arrived yet. If everyone can reach a consensus, we will pay 30% tax for 500% of the profits. As Li Yi spoke, he spread out 2 more pancakes. I will talk to Guangping and Yanshua. Jiuling will not have any problems. Bai Gu understood, so he wanted him to do the work. In fact, it's not just 2 people. It's a group of people. Don't think that you are a big country and give all the benefits to a small place overseas. It's harder to change one's mind. In the future, they will have to implement foreign policies. Old Bai, I will add more sauce for you. Li Yi expressed his gratitude. No, it's too salty. I want the match factory to provide tens of thousands of jobs. Bai Gu refused to add more sauce. Tens of thousands. The match factory is an industrial chain. It includes all kinds of technologies. If you can make matches, you can also make explosives. After the match factory is built, our firearms will not be fired. Instead, they will be fired using primers. My pistols, sniper rifles, assault rifles, and heavy machine gun bullets are made using this technology. Li Yi introduced the use of the match factory. It's not only used to make matches, it's also an industrial base. The entire industrial chain includes planting trees. Poplar trees are more suitable as they grow fast and are easier to manage. There are more technologies. Safety matches are not made using phosphorus. Furthermore, phosphorus is not easy to obtain. With this set of technologies, we can produce large quantities of gunpowder. Bai Gu figured it all out. You want to use a factory to service all the basic technologies. Your profits will be small. If you use it on the military, it will cost you a lot. The military cannot collect taxes from you. You can always convert those technologies to other profitable projects. If you want to make money, you can only export them. How much are you going to sell a box of matches for? Bai Gu analyzed the whole plan. At the same time, he is glad that he is a good learner. If not, he will not understand. The Tang dynasty's matches are cheaper. The people feel that the matches are not as good as fire sickles. Fire sickles need tinder, and ordinary people cannot make fire sickles. The iron sheet for fire sickles is simple. The Tang dynasty has a lot of iron. I remember that a few years ago, the people of Chong and used to drill wood to make fire. Li Yi knows that the people's goods are not expensive, including salt. When salt is expensive, it means the end of a country. Xiao Yi, don't sell it to ordinary people first. It doesn't matter if they use it earlier or later. You can sell it as a luxury item. We were reluctant to use it in the past, as we were afraid you would sacrifice your life for it. Bai Gu starts to come up with ideas. If the people are used to the original way of making fire, how many people can make money in the next 6 months? If you sell it as a luxury item, you will naturally charge a high tax. Chapter 1903. After Li Longji started eating, everyone started eating. Li Yi continued to spread out the crepes. He didn't want to be with that group of people. What he said to Bai Gu just now would definitely be the main topic. He was close, so he would definitely have to talk to him again. He spread out 5 crepes, and found a remote corner with Princess Yongmu, Xiaolan, and his 2 disciples to sit at a small table and eat breakfast. Princess Yongmu squinted and smiled throughout the whole process. Did everyone see that? Only my Li Lang cannot give face to my father. Master, what do Fuquan and I do? The little girl took a bite of the crepe with a lot of ketchup, and asked with sauce at the corner of her mouth. Master, I'll change my name. Li Fuquan didn't like ketchup. He liked sour food, so Li gave it a few vinegar. Li looked at the crepe with vinegar and shivered. How did he choose the taste? Vinegar. He already had an idea. As for the second disciple's name, he hadn't chosen it yet. There was no hurry. You don't use the name lazy anymore. The Tang dynasty doesn't have any titles. Your name is Guizong Li Guizong. Li Yi gave his disciple Li Fuquan a new name, Li Guizong. Jai Guizong soup? Li Fuquan first thought of the name of the recipe. It's the Kuan hexagram. Master wants you to surpass him, in terms of medical skills and conduct. The little girl pouted. She was a little disappointed. Then she smiled. Junior brother, I have high hopes for you. Book of Changes contains yin and yang. Guizong represents Jiai, master's name and name. Li Guizong, who had changed to a new name, said and then paused. Master wanted him to surpass himself, and then be willing to be below him. This world is unfair. I'll change your name. Qing Dai will have a name in the future. The Tang dynasty's Qing Dai Medical Fund will be managed by Qing Dai. If you want to have more, you have to rely on yourself. I'll give you a name temporarily. Li Yi poked his eldest disciple's head with his finger. Don't be sad. You have both. That's your name. Your junior brother is an orphan. Junior brother, if you want to buy medicine later, remember to look for me. I'll make it cheaper. The little girl had already thought it through. Li Guizong knelt in front of Li Yi and kowtowed. Thank you, master, for bestowing a name upon me. Yes, get up and eat. Li Yi accepted it. Commoners could not kneel, but his disciples could. His job as a teacher was not a profession, so he did not earn money from it. Even many teachers and doctors of the Tang dynasty did not make money from their disciples. Some were hired by the big clans, or rather invited by them. Some were arranged by the imperial court. They earned money from this. Regardless of which one it was, since he had taken someone's money, he had to be taught well. The teachers of the government schools in the capital office and the Hunan province held the prize vouchers for the children. How many big clans and officials wanted to get one for their children? In the end, he could only spend more money to exchange with other children. The teachers did not dare to be biased. They could not bear the consequences. Once they were found to have given out prize vouchers for the children of a rich family, they would have no other way out except to hang themselves. Li Yi had received a bow from his disciple, so he had to train his disciple well. When his disciple grew up, he would go out to do things under his name. Guizong, wipe your forehead. Princess Yongmu picked up a handkerchief and wiped Li Guizong's forehead. Thank you, master's wife. Li Guizong said naturally. Use your cleverness on your studies, the little girl said. I know, senior sister. Li Guizong continued to be sensible. My 2 disciples are really really should be taken to let them have a look. Li wanted to say that they were too difficult to teach. They were too smart. Then he thought of old Bai. Poor man. Sister, brother-in-law, I woke up late. I moved to a new place and suddenly felt sleepy. The little boy ran over on his scooter. He had not eaten yet. Wash your hands and eat. I'll make you an egg pancake. Li got up and went to the pancake maker. If he could make pancakes, he could naturally make other pancakes. Brother-in-law, don't eat chopped green onions and coriander. I'll have a stomachache if I eat too much. The little boy knew his situation. Li fried an egg pancake, cut it into small pieces, put it on a plate, and put it in front of the little boy. Thank you, brother-in-law. Brother-in-law, do you have salted dried tofu? The little boy looked for mustard and pickled vegetables on the table. Yes. Li nodded. Pine tree next to him jumped out and ran a few steps before stopping. The cub opened Pine tree's box and found a small box with salted dried tofu in it. As soon as he saw Pine tree's appearance, he knew that Pine tree wanted to lead him to run. The movement of his shoulders was different, so he had learned it. How can you open my box casually? Pine tree found that others were looking at him like that and was depressed. When did it become your box? Starting tomorrow, we'll all pull boxes. The cub said and put the dried tofu in front of the little boy. Thank you, Purple Jade, for taking out the dried tofu that Pine tree specially brought for me. This is my hobby, and you all know it. The little boy solved the confrontation with one sentence. I'm grateful to both of you as well as others. Pine tree and the cub, who were about to bicker, instantly stood up and looked at the little boy happily. The little boy seemed to have a talent for the emperor's skills. He didn't understand when other children taught him. The little boy understood with a little hint. Now he was treating people with tenderness. Later, Dongzhu would probably teach him the killing skills. Don't eat too much. Li stretched out his chopsticks and put 6 pieces on the little boy's plate. The little boy loved to eat this kind of slightly fermented protein food, at least for now. With a lot of exercise, he needed to supplement protein. The easiest to absorb was the fermented type. Just like a child drinking milk, breast milk was not delicious and smelly. But under normal circumstances, which child didn't eat it? Taste and habits were slowly developed. The soup is salty, isn't it? The little boy was really smart. He didn't drink the spicy soup and could tell by looking at his brother-in-law. Have a sip. It's not salty. I'll give you a few more pieces of dried tofu. Li asked his brother-in-law to try it himself. The little boy scooped some soup with a spoon. 6 pieces is enough. I think there'll be one left. If you eat too much, you need to drink more water. You only talk about brother-in-law all day long. Am I a fierce father? Li Longji was eating. When he heard the report, he was relieved and jealous. He was pleased that the child had a good relationship with Brother Yi. But it was wrong not to think about his father. San Lang, shall we cook for the child? Empress Wang didn't care. Her son was with her uncle, so she was relieved. No, Brother Yi's dishes are delicious. He can change his taste according to people. Fruit pancakes look the same, but in fact everyone is different. Li Longji refused to learn. It was too strenuous. A fruit pancake was loved by everyone. How thorough was his understanding of other people's tastes? Was that a fruit pancake? That was to tell others about his ability. After thinking about it, Li Longji said, in my name, give breakfast to Luoyang Palace, and in the name of the Li family Zhuangzi, make up for the loss of the breakfast seller. No one in the world can compare to him. Yes, Empress Wang agreed. Uncle uses practical actions to teach others about the logistics of the Li family Zhuangzi and the strength of the Ba Shui army. Tell Hunan that I'm coming. Princess Yongmu asked Li Yi as she looked at the 2 children who were sitting next to her and reading on their tablets. The little girl and her junior brother, Li Guizong, were looking at the same computer. The 2 of them were rhythmically flipping through the pages with their fingers. Each page took about 20 seconds. He would read it from the beginning to the end and memorize it. He would read it again tomorrow and the day after to consolidate his knowledge. After I'm done, I'll go to the Ministry of Revenue. The accounts there are the most troublesome. Checking the accounts is tiring work. Li wasn't in a hurry. Luoyang didn't stop its daily activities, so the commoners continued with their lives. We're too far away from them. Princess Yomu also looked over. We can't get close. Otherwise, there'll be a bunch of problems. They sell wine and fennel beans below. The cheapest wine bought locally can hold half a caddy of wine in a bowl. Plus 30 to 40 boiled broad beans, it's 500 coins. When I go over, old Baigu will only think about taxes. The capital is only 4 to 5 coins, and the profit is 100 times. Li Yi was prepared. He was prepared to keep the money for himself. He would treat the commoners to spicy soup, and buy breakfast from restaurants and stalls. He would pay for it, and it wouldn't be good for him to ask his father-in-law for it. Therefore, he ordered people to buy a large amount of cheap wine and broad beans last night. He boiled the broad beans into fennel beans and sold them outside. They weren't valuable, and most people couldn't see cute little robots. Selling one set could earn back the money for 100 people's breakfast. Plus the umbrella. Selling 10,000 sets would probably earn him back his capital. This was because he also bought other people's things, even though they were for his own people. Cooking for the soldiers was cheaper than buying, so the sales volume was about the same. He couldn't give this to old Baigu no matter what, so he stayed away from him. Li Lang, it's easy to earn money. Xiao Lan went over to watch the two children study. Her eyes hurt from watching, so she came back to chat. You have to have an official background. It's the hardest to accumulate capital. When you think of a way to get money, quickly find connections. I was lucky and found the right person. Otherwise, I would have to find the right person through others. I can do the same business but others can't. Fortunately, I don't spend much money on myself, and I return it to society. Li didn't avoid his disciples, and directly talked about the truth of life. The little girl's hand that was swiping the screen paused for a moment. Then she started again. Master is right. If you want to find a master, you have to find the best. The second disciple's eyes didn't leave the screen. Old Baigu is actually not bad. Li Yi said against his will. If the neighbor didn't lend it to him, he killed his neighbor's cow. If he killed a chicken, dog, pig, or sheep, it was a matter of money. But if the cow died, the owner had to report it to the authorities. It was not a digital movie. It was a very old movie. At first, it was silent, mainly because the synchronization problem was difficult to solve. Later on, there were voices. Occasionally, there would be problems. The mouths and voices of the people on the screen did not match. The counting of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 did not count. He wanted to make film, so that he could take pictures of the people. Taking photos was not just for fun, or as a souvenir. The photos would be posted and entered into the household register. In the Tang dynasty, the census records were written descriptions of other people's appearances, while the wanted posters usually emphasized the body and facial features. He was able to produce a color photo in one step. The information was ready-made, so they could just follow it. It was not easy to find a good dubbing actor. It was harder than making film. There was one lying in front of him. Li Dongzhu, I want to go home and have a look. I'll come back after a look. The prisoner requested to see if the house was leaky. Bring his family here. We can eat crabs at noon. Don't eat those who are injured. They need to take medicine. Li Yi ordered again, and Huangbai ran away. Pine Tree and Ziyu did not move. They each took a suitcase. They were competing with each other. The 4 classes were like this. The competition and contradiction between each other would not change with the rotation of people. As long as the name was not changed, they would continue to fight. At noon, the 16 guards, the local soldiers, and most of the winged knights ate the food they bought. Some people in the palace also ate. Li Yi and the others ate crabs. The winged knights who went to catch crabs also ate crabs. The winged knights put the crabs in the tofu and shredded radish soup. The staple food was rice and whole wheat mantou. Each person had a big bowl of soup. It was a stew. There was less soup and more dry food. There were 4 eggs in each bowl, and a big smoked chicken drumstick. They exercised a lot and needed nutrition. They could not do without meat and eggs. The saying of the poor are literate and the rich are martial referred to eating. If they did not eat, their bodies would not be able to bear it. When it was not Li Yi's literate days, the money for tuition was countless times more than the money for food. If they ate meat, could they eat 3 caddies of beef a day? 3 caddies of beef was enough for a tuition class. Li Yi's dishes were spicy crab, steamed, stewed with pumpkin fried, stewed with crab paste and bone marrow crab tofu brew. The big ones were naturally steamed and dipped in ginger vinegar or oil. This mouth is completely raised. A few years ago, when did I see so many ways to eat in front of me? Li Dan ate a tofu brew and took a sip of health wine. She sighed with emotion. The tofu brew was first fried in oil. It was similar to the first step of home-cooked tofu. Chapter 1907. Catch grasshoppers, trade grasshoppers, catch grasshoppers, get eggs. It was drizzling. A woman with a tired face. But her eyes were filled with joy as she led her 2 children across the bridge over the Luo River. She held a large new umbrella, covering her 8-year-old son. Her 10-year-old eldest son held the umbrella for himself. The younger son held a bunch of grasshoppers strung with grass and sang a nursery rhyme. The eldest son was reciting the contents of the Analects of Confucius, something like, "A gentleman is circumspect but not circumspect. A villain is circumspect but not circumspect." As the woman listened to the nursery rhyme, she seemed to recall something. It's been 4 years. Back then, he came to solve the locust plague in Shandong. Now locusts are hard to find. Today, he came back to relieve my husband of his imprisonment. Plop. A fish jumped out of the water and dove back in. Mother, can my brother and I go to school next year? The older child reciting the Analects of Confucius tilted his umbrella to the side and turned his head to ask his mother. Without waiting for the woman to answer, Huang Bai spoke first. Yes, let the school know and take down the 2 lecturers. When you go back, no one will dare say anything about you. Many thanks to Li Dongzhu. The woman hurriedly expressed her thanks. Her husband was imprisoned, and the children were attacked by the other children in school. The lecturers should have disciplined them, but they tacitly allowed it. Even if the children's father pushed someone else's cow down a hill to its death, he should have paid compensation, and he should have been sentenced. It was not a crime of being implicated, so how could he be implicated? As a result, the 2 lecturers were disciplined, and the other students who spoke ill of the 2 children were beaten. If they were not convinced, they were forced to withdraw from school. Is my husband well? The woman thought of the suffering her children had suffered in school, and also worried about whether her husband had suffered. He'll be able to go home in a few days. Today, Dongzhu invited you to eat crabs together. Guyen did not directly answer. In the middle of the night, he had been beaten like a tiger. His fingers had been fractured, and there were still stitched wounds on his body. When the family of 4 met, the 2 children cried out "Father," tears streaming down their faces. The woman saw that her husband's body was wrapped in gauze in more than 10 places. He sat there laughing foolishly. Her tears rolled back, but she forced them back. Many people beat you up? The woman recognized plaster casts. It was written in medical books that doctors in Luoyang would apply plaster casts on people with fractures. I couldn't talk them out of it at night. I thought about it, and I didn't want them to sleep, so I roared and scared them. Hee. Jiang Gang smiled. The tribe led by Fu Difu was different from other tribes. He had always been an official of the Tang dynasty. The Tang dynasty was able to mobilize the Guli army, especially to reinforce Huge Stone City. Fu Difu led the Guli army's warriors to help. The Tang dynasty provided them with tea bricks, silk and weapons. He was similar to Su Lu, but Su Lu felt that his wings had hardened. Therefore he cancelled the effects on the commandos. He didn't care if Su Lu was unhappy. He had received the telegrams sent to Tubo along the way. He would take the opportunity to beat up Su Lu again before winter. Fu Daiming nodded. Yes, I'm a general of the Tang dynasty. He always believed that he did not belong to the Tang dynasty. He only took the things that belonged to the Tang dynasty, did not fight with the Tang dynasty, and helped the Tang dynasty. This time, he had no choice. The Tang dynasty had taken care of the Tubo, and later on, the Tang dynasty could not defeat the Tang dynasty. He could either side with the later on, or side with the Tang dynasty. When he reached the place, he would keep his weapons in case he suddenly rebelled. Who would have thought that the Tang dynasty would really treat him as a general of the Tang dynasty? Things were different after that. He could ask for more arrows if he lacked. Thinking about this, he asked Jiang Gang tentatively, "We lack arrows. 10,000, 5,000? Arrows are easy. There's no hurry. You guys are mainly targeting the later on. I don't think they will attack in winter. You guys are mainly patrolling with them." Jiang Gang smiled. "I said that I wanted you guys to help me fight. It's just an excuse. Who are you going to attack? The later on, will switch places with you. Our people will hold them off. After winter, will the later on dare to send troops to the south? Are they looking for death?" Oh, Fu Difu remembered. "If you guys like to go out and wander, head northeast. There's a large coniferous forest near the north. There are a lot of pine trees and wild animals there. You guys can bring them back to exchange for things to support your family. There are arrows. The Celestial Army is upgrading their equipment. The requirements for bows and arrows have been lowered. The ones that are eliminated are for you guys." Jiang Gang thought of an idea. He wanted to say it first, and then report it to His Majesty. There's a large red pine forest there. It's similar to the one in Bohai, but no one picks it. The Shi tribe will probably pick it this year. They have limited manpower. Pine nuts are tiring to eat. Picking them is troublesome. There's pine oil on your hands. It's not easy to peel them. Burn them together with the pine trees and then smash them. Fu Difu had no love for pine nuts. There was a pine forest in Shaohai. He didn't know how to deal with it. If he had the time to eat, he might as well use the pine branches to burn. Chapter 1912. Keep it first. When it's transported to the mountain, build the hospital, and put it in a safe place. The telegram was sent all the way. When Li Longji and a group of people found Li Yi had just led his disciples and nurses to soak a cadaver in medicine. A person without a family member had passed away in Grief Tian Square, and was directly handed over to Li Yi. Li Yi first held a set of ceremonies to respect the deceased before dealing with it. Li Longji and the rest waited outside. They couldn't go in. This place didn't allow unrelated people to enter. Moreover, no one was willing to go in. They felt that the surroundings were cold and gloomy. Li Yi and the rest took a shower and changed their clothes. The clothes they changed into were still white coats. "Xiao Yi, is it better to wear an official's uniform at night than the one you're wearing now?" Lu Huaishan looked at Li Yi under the kerosene lamp. The color of the clothes was too eye-catching. Li Yi thought about it, and thought of the Qing dynasty official's uniform. He bounced when he walked and quickly shook his head. "I'm used to it. The official's uniform is not suitable. Have the cows been sent?" Li Yi thought that the 100 live cows had been gathered. "The cows are a small matter. Let's talk somewhere else." Yao Chong also didn't like to stay here. "You two rest. You two follow." Li Yi first said to the nurses, and then called his disciple. "Okay." The little girl responded obediently. Li Guizong was looking for trouble. "Thank you, master. There are more people in front of me. I will work hard to learn." Bai Gu. When he heard this, he felt uncomfortable all over. There was a child who was too bad. In order to not be his disciple, he said that there must be one of them who can be his master. After scaring him, his answer immediately became the content of Xuanzi, Mencius, and Shangshu. His disciple was gone. When he went back, he was teased by the little robot. What did the three people with the surname Bai have to do with him? Song Jing, Su'er, and Zhang Juling sighed almost at the same time. Alas! There was nothing much to say. At that time, the child called Li Fuquan had asked him, and the others how he got his name. But he couldn't answer. However, when they saw Xiao Yi gave them the answer. Li Longji held back his laughter. He had heard this story before, and it was a very sad story for some people. He was a step too late to look for his disciple. But now that she thought about it, the child should have been taught by Brother Yi. How could other people teach him? Normally, he would be able to memorize all the books within 2 years, including the annotations. What else could he teach? Be human? Which master wasn't good at dealing with people? Just like Qing Dai, those who could teach would definitely have knowledge as vast as the sea, and as profound as the forest. Together with all kinds of dried seafood, They were transported by boat to Hook a waterfall and sold there. In winter, they set off from Bohai to Haizhou to wait for the train. The ship belonged to the Tang dynasty, so they controlled it themselves to save money. The tax paid by the Navy will be put into a separate account of the Ministry of Revenue. When the time comes, the Ministry of Revenue will allocate funds to build ships. Do the chickens and ducks get sick after eating the dead conch? Lu Yu asked. He was recalling the situation when he was the governor of Hangzhou. Hangzhou is next to the sea, but he doesn't know how chickens and ducks eat seafood. He has been in office for too short a time. Chop it up and put it there. Don't mix it with other food. The chickens and ducks will know whether they can eat it or not. Li Yi knew how the people fed the chickens, ducks, and geese. He threw them there and let them choose for themselves. This method is quite useful. Lu Youqiu felt that it made sense. More than 100,000 people are going to pick pine nuts together. With such a large group, I'm afraid there won't be enough pine nuts to pick. Li Riji knew how to eat pine nuts, but he didn't know how to pick them. I know that tens of thousands of pine nuts can be picked from one tree. The pine forest there is lush, and no one picked it in the past. This year, there will be a big harvest. Yao Chong answered the question. He was very diligent in his studies. He wanted to know how to eat pine nuts, hazelnuts, and chestnuts. After that he looked at Li Yi. Li Yi nodded hesitantly. Li Yi had never been to the Tang dynasty. The place where the heavenly troops and gully cadres were going was not Heilongjiang in the northeast. They were in Inner Mongolia, and the east of the Mongolian Empire. The Little Ice Age had not happened yet, and there were no man-made logging and fire wars. There was a large red pine forest there. It was described as vast and boundless. How could they tell how many trees there were? Looking at the pine forest from the ground, how could they tell that it was vast? How far could they see from a hot air balloon? Gangro, a few hundred miles away, people and horses will eat. We should send the steam engine to the edge of the pine forest and peel the pine nuts to bring back. Zhang Jiuling looked at the skinny conch and thought of the transportation problem. Okay. Li nodded vigorously. Let's pick them first and find a place to dry them. There are at least 10 steam engines. How many tons can they produce in a day? Li calculated. How many pine nuts can they produce in the forest? Just 10. We can use them for other purposes in the future. We can make pellets for horses and sheep. Bring the wheels and go there in the form of a car. If it's snowing heavily, the power wheels will be under the anti-skid chain. The non-power wheels will be under the anti-skid chain like a carriage. Even with Madame Yu's skills, was it not money? For example, Wentian Orchid Pavilion. Chapter 1914. It was the same starry sky, the same night, and the same bright stars. In Baishatang, next to Hengze County, Huainan Province, Tang Dynasty. Quickly arrange the seeds and use the oil lamp to lure the crabs. Let me tell you, the money is coming. The county magistrate of Hengze County, Du, shouted loudly in the village, telling the villagers to get up and work catching crabs. The yacht brought the winged knights and the Li family Zhuangzi's men to their destination. They were very fast. Walking along the Bian River, they ran directly to Hengze Lake, which was now called Baishui Pond. The Bian River flowed into the Huai River. Beside the Huai River was the Baishui Pond. On the other side of the Bian River, it entered the Yellow River a little bit, and then turned into the Luo River, crossing over in a large oblique line. Hengze Lake was the closest place that Li Yi knew to produce hairy crabs, so there was no need to go back and forth through the river. Chuzhou City was located in Shanyang County, which was about 40 to 50 miles away from Hengze County. The people of the Li family Zhuangzi took out the documents of the head of the secretariat and asked the county magistrate, Du, to cooperate. Du didn't have time to rest. He crawled out of bed and called the county deputy, the official registrar, the county deputy, and the other officials and bailiffs to board the boat and head to the village. The yacht circled around the lake. After circling around for a while, it encountered a village and released a few people to call the people to work. On the yacht, there were only a small number of rows that were brought along to act as locks. If the commoners were unwilling to move, they could just shout. What was there to earn? Stop lying. If they were to catch crabs in the middle of the night, where would they send them? Do you want to eat crabs? Why don't you bring the yamen runners to catch him? Ba Shuili family Zhuangzi is collecting crabs. Give him more money. Get up quickly. Where is the village chief? The central secretariat issued an order. Du changed the way he called out. Is it Li Dongzhu from Chang'an? A night watchman came up and asked loudly. Yes, quickly go and shout. No matter what method you use, shout it out. Du was anxious. All right. Watch me. The night watchman nodded his head vigorously and turned around to run into the village. As he ran, he knocked on the gong and shouted, Fire, fire. Quickly get up and put out the fire. Du. When a family is on fire, the whole village helps out. They are of the same breath and branch. Some of the people who heard the shouts of Baishuili family Zhuangzi had already stood up, while some of them didn't hear it at all. At this moment the gong sounded. Needless to say, something had happened. Something big had happened. As soon as he heard that there was a fire, he put on his trousers bare-chested, carrying the wooden plank and the pump, and rushed out. He looked all around, but where was the fire? Caught fire? Whose house is it? Someone asked the neighbor, who came out of the yard. Li Dongzhu is collecting crabs. Du Laojiu is blindly shouting, Go back, and put on your clothes before catching crabs. The neighbor held a tool, and said to the shirtless man, Which Li Dongzhu? Who's proprietor Li? Who's he? The people who wanted to put out the fire were furious. They were sleeping soundly when they were tricked. Who still dares to call himself Li Dongzhu now? Ba Shuili family Zhuangzi, go and put on your clothes. Li Dongzhu will take us to make money. I'll go first. The neighbor took his things and ran to the lakeside. He believed that no one from the Li family Zhuangzi would dare to casually use their names. Ah, wait for me. The shirtless man ran back and said to his wife, Ba Shui, I heard you. Go quickly. I'll go too. Dewa, take care of your brother and sister. The woman put on her clothes. The villages around Hengza Lake became lively at night. Some people cast nets, some threw cages, and some used lanterns to lure crabs. The yacht distributed printed instructions for tying crabs with straw ropes and bundles of straw. The yacht turned around again. The lights on the yacht were all turned on for the villagers to see. At the same time, they distributed candies and popcorn sticks to the villagers for the children to eat. The children would have delicious food tomorrow morning. Du and the people from the government office sat on the deck of the yacht, eating lake seafood and drinking beer. The cruisers of the Tang dynasty are really impressive. I heard that there are even talking mechanical men. Du had seen it in the newspaper. It was his first time riding on it. He could brag about it for the rest of his life. Thinking of the provincial governor, Du was stunned. He turned his head and asked, Did anyone go to the provincial government to inform Provincial Governor Wu? Everyone shook their heads. They were all on the yacht. Who would go so far to inform? If that's the case, if Provincial Governor Wu blames us. Du found that the wine was not good to drink. It was too bitter. No need to pay attention to him. The villagers did not care about provincial governor. My Dongzhu is in a hurry to find crabs. So what if he's the provincial governor? I heard that Provincial Governor Wu and Wu Jieyu are distant relatives. Du explained. His surname is Li. So what if he's a member of the imperial family? The winged knights are only responsible to Her Majesty. The winged knights man said. They did not eat lake seafood or drink alcohol. They ate pork floss. They were afraid that they would not be acclimatized after eating the lake seafood. Oh, Dudu's heart fell. Yes, the Li family Zhuangzi and the winged knights were working. Just like my Dongzhu, one tael for 10 caddies of crabs. The villager knew what Dudu meant, and changed it to a specific unit. Chapter 1915. The people by the lake floated on the surface of the water with their boats, nets and lanterns. They picked up the crabs, threw the small ones down, and left the big ones behind. Someone quickly tied the wet straw rope. When the sky was dark, all kinds of things gathered towards the bright places. Fish and prawns could also be caught. They threw them back first and looked at the situation. If they needed to catch the crabs for the whole night, they would not catch the fish and prawns to sell. There was a lot of water here, so the fish and prawns were not worth much. The people did not ask how much money was paid. First, they thought that Li Dongzhu should pay more than what they usually paid for selling fish and prawns. Second, Li Dongzhu asked for the crabs. They had received a lot of favors from Li Dongzhu from the newspaper, so it was not a big deal for them to help without paying. There were too many crabs in the lake. They filled the boat in a short time and rowed back to put them down. There was someone weighing the crabs, even the straw rope. Dudu ran to the boat by himself. When he was young, he always followed behind. After he became an official, he forgot everyone. Someone made a mat and complained. Basically, everyone in the village had the surname Du. Don't tell me he's going to sell us off? What if he doesn't pay us in order to curry favor with owner Li? Another person thought of working for free. If he doesn't pay, then don't pay. Can't he work for Li Dongzhu? The old villager came over. Working for Li Dongzhu is fine. I'm afraid his heart has changed. The person who spoke just now muttered. Du was wiping his tears. He came from Du village, so it was easy to find out. He said that he would pay 1 tael for a night's work. In fact, he wanted to get more benefits for his family. He did not expect that Li family Zhuangzi's villager would directly give the price of 1 tael for 10 caddies of crabs. When the villagers caught crabs, each person caught at least 400 to 500 caddies. There were so many crabs. Even if it was 200 to 300 caddies, 20 to 30 taels was equivalent to 3 days of income. He finally helped the villagers. Before, he could not help much. The imperial court was too strict. Duming residents, why do you have to do this? If the owner finds out that you're playing tricks on us, he'll get angry. The villager saw the problem. He thought about how Du family village was personally called by Du and understood everything. Why should Li Dongzhu be angry with me? I'm just a lowly county magistrate. Commander Du smiled. You're talking about 10 caddies per qian. Ming residents, leave behind the kerosene lamps and diesel for the people to use as bait. Even if the boat capsized and the kerosene lamp fell into the water, it would not sink. It would be tied with floating wood. There's still about a month to go. If there's fish and prawns, I'll take them. If there's crabs, I'll take them. The villager reluctantly told him about the things that Dongzhu had arranged. He felt that he had been deceived. The waters of officialdom were too deep, and he was too naive. If it had been Dongzhu, he would have definitely not been tricked. Don't worry. If the person is here, the light will be there. If the person isn't, the light will still be there. Du promised. He understood. Kerosene lamps were expensive. If someone claimed that they had fallen into the water and ended up selling them, it would not do. He swore that such a situation did not exist in his county. Suddenly, there was a house without lights, and everyone came to watch. Don't others have to think about it when they buy it? Every kerosene lamp was licensed and numbered. If it was broken, he could get a new one from the Li family Zhuangzi. It was free of charge. He could even smash it himself. The villager saw through Commander Du's thoughts and said, the kerosene lamps we provided do not have numbers. There are a few key positions on the lamp that are not engraved, including the bottom of the glass cover. That's good. That's great. Commander Du saved himself some trouble. The sky was just starting to brighten. The crabs were weighed and loaded onto the boat. Among the people, the lowest income was 20 renminbi. If every 10 households borrowed a kerosene lamp, the boat would be light and empty. It was a short journey and did not need to carry a lot of food, water, and service staff. 20 renminbi was considered a normal income in Chang'an. In other places, 20 renminbi was equivalent to a few days' salary. It was equivalent to Li Yi's first and fifth tier cities. A monthly income of 10,000 renminbi in a first-tier city was not easy if one did not have a house of his own. If it was 10,000 renminbi in a fifth-tier city, it would be 300 renminbi a month to rent a house. In the north, heating was also included. It was definitely a high income. Others would be able to earn 2,000 to 3,000 renminbi a month. If they worked for 1.5 months, they would be able to pay a year's worth of rent. Of course, the size of the house was not big. It was only 30 to 40 square meters. Heating was also expensive. Some companies and government departments rented out their houses and reimbursed them. The income in Chang'an was similar to that in Chuzhou City. One was in the capital, and the other was in the fifth tier. The fishermen next to Hengze Lake caught some fish and prawns temporarily and sent them out to sell. The quantity was relatively small. They did not expect to make money. In the next month, they would be able to make as much money as they did in a year. There were some old customers who bought your things every day. If you did not open your stall to make money, they would go to someone else's place. At the same time, in Luoyang Palace's Ziwei City, a group of ministers took a warm bath and had breakfast. When the food was served, they suddenly felt bad. Chapter 1916. The sky was clear, but the large clouds in the sky occasionally blocked the sunlight. Li Longji and the others had indeed not eaten breakfast. When the group arrived, it was already 10 in the morning. When they arrived, everyone was stunned. No matter how they looked at it, it felt familiar. Wasn't this the Li family Zhuangzi? They could see that the layout of this place was the same as the Li family Zhuangzi beside the Ba River. The location of the courtyard and the situation of the ground were the same. Wash your hands and eat. I originally didn't prepare too much food, but I made it on the spot. There's not much, so please help yourselves. Li Yi said with a smile. He knew the situation. They were used to living in the Li family Zhuangzi and couldn't adapt to a new place. Luoyang Palace's Ziwei City was smaller than the imperial city of Chang'an, so there were no farmers running around. In addition, it had rained yesterday to arrest people and investigate people. When they saw that even the food had changed, they couldn't control their temper. For example, Old Bai didn't just want a few dozen dishes. He was angry and wanted to find a reason to vent his anger. The others weren't in a good state either. The familiar layout of the palace reminded them of the past. The imperial palace was dead, but the Li family Zhuangzi was alive. Xiao Yi, is it the same in the distance? As expected, Bai Gu's mood improved. In any case, you won't find the Pure Flowers Palace. It's just a small place that imitates the original Li family Zhuangzi beside the Ba River. Li Yi pointed to the east and west, but couldn't find any similarities. It's really sumptuous. This old man will eat spicy soup and pies. The Shangshi Bureau doesn't even know how to make pies. Bai Gu chose to eat good food. In reality, he was planning to eat steamed buns. But after thinking about it, wouldn't it be the same as in the palace? No, the Shangshi Bureau didn't have it. That's right, the Shangshi Bureau doesn't know how to make stir-fried dishes. Lu Huaishan saw the stir-fried dishes and also found the Shangshi Bureau's problem. The Shangshi Bureau has arranged breakfast for you. It's now past 10. Drink some water, and your digestive system is active. I'll make some stir-fried dishes. Li Yi spoke up for the Shangshi Bureau. Now the Shangshi Bureau was learning how to cook from the Li family Zhuangzi, and the dishes tasted the same. Whatever dish the Li family Zhuangzi created, the Shangshi Agency would copy that dish. Whenever the Li family Zhuangzi created a new dish, the Shangshi Agency would have one more dish in its menu. If the Shangshi department did not research new dishes, and did not dare to do so, who would be responsible if there were any problems? They came up with an idea to let the Li family Zhuangzi's people see if they could make a certain dish. If they succeeded, they would be very happy. The ability of the Shangshi Bureau was not bad. Princess Yongmu's face was filled with worry, and she actually raised the price multiple times. When Her Majesty came, the Li family Zhuangzi expanded. They naturally think that everyone's income has increased. Li Yi said as he pulled Princess Yongmu's hand. Go wash your hands. You've been walking around for so long. It's time to eat. I should have bought it earlier, Xiaolon muttered. The two of them went to clean up. Li Longji's eyes widened. How can there be no house? Tear down the temple? He was decisive. His daughter's Tian Lanxiang Pavilion was going to open. The Tian Lanxiang Pavilion in Xiaolunan village 30 miles to the south did not count. There must be one in Luoyang Palace. It was close to the train station and Luo River, so it was easy to do business. Under normal circumstances, you can't tear down the temple. Li Yi refused. It's unusual that Tian doesn't have a shop in Luoyang Palace. Li Longji didn't care about anything else. His daughter was happy all day. How could she suddenly be unhappy? Empress Wang said from the side. Tian only thinks that it's expensive. She can afford it. Uncle has an idea. Let Tian buy a good location at a low price. Yes. Li Longji stared at Li Yi. Why don't you care about your wife's matters? It's good that the price of houses is increased. Buying and selling houses requires taxes. People who can buy shops in Luoyang are rich. Li Yi looked at Bai Gu and said, houses were expensive, so they should collect more taxes. Get a shop for Wentian first. Bai Gu didn't fall for it. The topic of discussion now is Princess Yongmu. Why are you talking about taxes with me? A shop is simple. Even in Ziwei City, as long as I want to, I guarantee that I have a reason to open a Tian Lan Xiang pavilion. Everyone will think that it's reasonable and should be opened. Chang'an has 2 cities in the east and west. Luoyang is divided into 2 cities in the north and south. Which city in Chang'an is the most profitable? Old Bai. Li Yi wasn't worried. He compared the market situation of the 2 cities. Of course, the south of Chang'an is the most profitable. A large area is yours. The other areas are under the control of the imperial court. Bai Gu wanted to say the east market, but he suddenly realized that it wasn't right. The Li family Zhuangzi Street in the south paid more taxes than the east and west combined. The more taxes there were, the higher the turnover. Uncle, you want to do real estate around Luoyang Palace? Empress Wang skillfully used the new term. I'll buy the bad land around Luoyang Palace and build roads and buses. I'll use the land there to replace the good locations in Luoyang Palace. Wentian will feel better. Li Yi admitted. That's right. I plan to do that. Is your price increase more? Or is it higher if I just find a place to do business? Chapter 1924. Li made it clear, and everyone understood. Although they understood, it was too difficult to change all the people, regardless of whether they were in the league or the current one, who didn't fight. This included the harem, the emperor emeritus, the palace maids, and the eunuchs. Xiao Yi, you don't seem to have any problems? Bai Gu agreed with Li Yi's words, but when he turned around, he realized something was wrong. Xiao Yi never fought with anyone head-on. The Li family Zhuangzi's farmers competed with each other, not fighting. It was benign. Xiao Yi's harem was stable. How much virtue did Princess Yongmu accumulate in her previous life? Buying a shop was too expensive, and Xiao Yi helped solve it. Li Yi laughed. Old Bai, let's switch. You'll be like me. The so-called competition means that you can't have it directly. I already have it, so who can I compete with? What you can't have, I'll just casually get. What you're struggling with, I'll casually do as I please. Li Yi spoke the truth. I have people from the system. If I'm the same as you, the system will probably change people. If you, Old Bai, had such a system, you could even be the emperor. I'm much stronger than you. What's so good about being the emperor? The emperor still has the right to speak. Xiao Yi, are you saying that the world will never have a teaching model like your Zhuangzi? Li Dan listened for a while, and asked with a worried face. He wanted the world to be harmonious. At least I don't see it. But we can change some aspects and be stronger than now. Li Yi was stumped by the question. It involved the problem of Gong Gong. He had learned the theory, but he had never come into contact with reality. Just like the people around him didn't know that people could fly to the moon. That kind of theoretical thing could be realized, right? When there were no steam trains, did people think that it was possible to travel from Luoyang to Chang'an in half a day? When there were trains, did people think that it would only take an hour to travel from Luoyang to Chang'an? 5 years ago, the entire Tang dynasty had a hard time dealing with the Tubo, the later Turks, the Khitans, and the Shi people. Right now the Tubo and the later Turks were nothing. If he wanted to deal with them, he would deal with them. Look at how badly Sulu's cavalry was beaten up. There was still another wave of attacks to come. Alas, Li Dan thought of many things in an instant. She sighed and said, Xiao Yi, you said that the world is like a tide and people are like water. Just like this pond, the water can be used but it cannot be stopped. Elder Mu, don't be sad. Eating big crabs at night is just water. Li Yi didn't want the old man to be like this. He still wanted Li Dan to live for a few more years. As long as Li Dan was alive, it would benefit the entire Tang dynasty. The people would recognize Li Longji's position more. But autumn itself is a time of worry. The people at the side looked at Li Yi. If he placed the cemetery too far away, How would others pay their respects? Let's take the small steam engine train. We'll be there soon. I planted flowers in the cemetery of the martyrs and built a flower shed so that there would be fresh flowers all year round. Then, the incense would be suppressed, and the people would be provided with incense and fresh flowers. If the people brought their own offerings, the offerings would be left for a day for the people guarding the gardens to eat. Commoners can go there even in the middle of the night. There's a place where meals are served. Li told him his plans for the future. He estimated that it would be possible before the new year, as the tracks of the small train were light and convenient. When Song Jing heard this, he praised. In this way, the commoners will be able to earn back the money spent on the construction of the mausoleum. Good. The others did not agree. They continued to look at Li. Li muttered, should I let him join the Revolutionary Army? Should he join the Revolutionary Army? Can't. His voice was neither loud nor soft. Everyone around could hear him. Song Jing took 2 steps to the side. Li glanced at him. It's free. When commoners take the incense and flowers, they have to bring their birthplace booklets or other things to prove their identity. They can also eat while they're at it. Only by making it free can we show the magnanimity of a great country and tell the world that the martyrs who died fighting for the Tang dynasty and for the welfare of the people are building their heroic spirits. We want to make the cemetery of the martyrs, which costs a lot, free to show the will of the Tang dynasty. Free is good, it's really good. Xiaoyi is thoughtful. Song Jing did not look at Li Yi's eyes. Just now he was digging a hole. He thought that Li Yi would take the money. If Li Yi agreed with him, he would turn around and accuse Li Yi of deliberately amassing money, impeaching him, and having fun. He did not expect that Li Yi would do this. He wanted to use the money to show off his momentum. Li Yi continued to lead the crowd forward. Plant flowers, raise bees, and fill it with honey water for the commoners to drink. Xiaoyi, are you sure you don't want to earn a single cent? Bai Gu knew that it was easy to make money by building a railway here. Even if we don't earn money from the cemetery of the martyrs in Tianshu, there's still the pear garden here. It's close to the cemetery of the martyrs. It's because countless soldiers have killed the enemy that there are now songs and dances. Let the martyrs see how happy the commoners of the Tang dynasty are, who they sacrificed their lives to protect. I'll make some other entertainment. Li Yi added a premise first. Then he talked about how to make money. The two did not conflict. When he thought of the function of the cemetery of the martyrs, he was tempted. This thing could unite the people and make it easier to rule. When he repaired the road, the local people all participated in it. At that time his official position was Zuoshi. Chang'an was far from Xiaozhou. For the locals, Zhang Jiuling was the glory of their hometown. Not to mention that Zhang Jiuling was living in the Tang dynasty now. Even in his own time, when he mentioned Meiguan Ancient Road, the locals were also proud. Thank you, Gang Rou. Zhang Jiuling made a fist salute. It's easy to talk to smart people. In Guangzhou, Gang Rou solved the income problem of the people in Xiaozhou. You're welcome. Otherwise, why is the name of the Li family Zhuangzi so useful in all parts of the Tang dynasty? Li family Zhuangzi's exchange coupons are unimpeded? Li Yi waved his hand. I'll naturally get what I pay for. Bahui Li family Zhuangzi's name is famous in the Tang dynasty. Zhuangzi's exchange coupons are recognized in all parts of the Tang dynasty. Why? Because I can always give benefits to all parts of the country. Zhuangzi's strength and reputation are number one. The more power you enjoy, the more responsibility you have to pay. The current prime minister can't answer the people's problems. But I have to answer it, because I can make the prime minister join the league. Like Song Jing, he dug a hole for me several times today. Is he trying to dig me into it? Dream on. He just wanted to find a place to satisfy his cravings and impeach for fun. If he's really hostile, I can kill him. The autumn scenery is so charming. Why do people always feel sad? Li Riji saw a big mountain mangrove tree with a lot of mountain red on it. He reached out to pick it. The mountain red was smaller than the hawthorn, but bigger than the mountain red. He wanted to eat it. Swish. Patter. Guazi shot out a flying knife. A flower snake fell to the ground, startling Li Riji. Where did the snake come from? Why didn't I see it? This snake. Li Riji wanted to figure it out. The little robot said. It jumped down from above and was hit by the flying knife in the air. Li Riji looked back at Guizi. Thank you, Officer Gua. You're worthy of being a martial arts expert. It's just a small poison. You won't die even if you're bitten. Dongzhu is here. Guizi didn't take the credit. The fact was as he said. Even if the snake was bitten by Li Yi, there was no problem. Officer Gua is modest. Li Riji didn't want to be bitten and then saved by Li Yi. How uncomfortable. Chapter 1929. Everyone was nervous for a moment and then relaxed. With Guizi and Li Yi around, it was a double insurance. The flying dagger was too powerful. The snake bounced down from above and was pierced by the dagger in the air. Your Majesty, please promote Officer Gua. Li Riji expressed. No, it doesn't matter what position I have. Guizi refused. His family had received additional benefits from Li Yi personally. What was the purpose of a promotion? More money, more power? He had all of them now. The 30,000 winged knights were under his command. The benefits he received were endless. Just like Dongzhu, a second-rank civil and military official. If he wanted to be a first-rank official, he could do it temporarily and resign later. When Guizi refused, he did not give Li Riji any face and spoke straightforwardly. With Zi here, I am relieved. There are windmills on the mountain in front. The position is very messy. Li Longji was satisfied. He was satisfied with Guizi's skill, and even more satisfied with Guizi's attitude. The winged knights were not controlled by outsiders, who had the qualifications to suggest to him that the people who were against the winged knights be promoted. Brother Yi did not say anything. Brother Yi could mobilize the winged knights, but he never participated in the issue of official positions. Guizi was still a 6th-rank official. Was his position small? Songda was still without rank. He did not receive officials below 5th rank at all. Li Longji thought so and changed the topic. He saw that the windmills on the mountain next to them were particularly messy, threshing and shelling the grains for the people nearby. If the wind is not fixed, build more windmills. As long as there is wind, no matter how it blows, there will always be windmills that can move. Li Yi was clear about this. As he spoke, he changed the battery for the little robot. The battery that was changed still had more than 30% charge. The little robot was afraid that the battery life would be shortened. Yes, Dongzhu is right. The windmills provide power. Connect the belt and send the things up. When it is done, send them down. The little robot with a full battery became active. It took the initiative to introduce itself and jumped between the gaps between the people. You'll run out of battery again and run around. Noble Consort Lu always treated the little robot as a child. Thank you, Noble Consort Lu, for your reminder. I can't. I'll charge my battery. The little robot ran to Noble Consort Lu's side and explained to her. As the saying goes, looking at a mountain will cause a horse to run to death. Fortunately, the mountain here was not so far away, so there was no need to walk through the ravine. The mountain roads were interconnected, so it only took them 40 minutes to reach there. The other palace maids and eunuchs were tired. They had picked a lot of red flowers from the mountains. Let's stay here today. Chapter 1931. Eastern Capital Luoyang. Imperial Good Fortune Compendium. The Tianshu was rebuilt, and the mausoleum was rebuilt. The martyr Huayuan will never die. Offerings were offered throughout the day, and incense wafted from the offerings. Love in the human world is here, and the great Tao is clear. Heaven and earth can be reversed. Loyal souls have no hesitation. The stars twinkled and dimmed, while the sun and moon shone brightly. Mount Tai has been worshipped several times, and the muddy river originated from the emperor. In the relay station, after everyone finished eating, the students who were going to take the exam were also there. They enjoyed good treatment. The 3 of them were given a separate room. There was meat in the dishes, and there was also a large wooden tub for bathing. They did not share a large bunk with the others. Today's newspaper was brought over by the Jinwu guards, and the 3 students were in charge of reading and interpreting it. This article was jointly written by the little girl Feng Qingdai and her junior fellow apprentice Li Guizong. Everyone was busy and couldn't find the time. Li took out his eldest disciple and wrote, parallel for Li 6 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 Li 7 Li 6 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 Live little girl Feng Qingdai felt that it was too difficult, so she asked for external help. Therefore, she brought along her junior brother Li Guizong. The student read on and on. When he reached the end, he had to record who wrote the book. At the same time he read out, the Empress's palace advisor, the imperial physician's external female official, Feng Qingdai, Li Guizong. Book. This means that Luoyang is the eastern capital of the Tang dynasty. It's very normal for the sages to come to Luoyang, the Tianshu that was previously demolished. Another student was responsible for translating. The whiter the better. In fact, he was not in a good mood at all. The newspaper reported that Dr. Li Yi had taken in 2 apprentices. One was 9 years old this year, and the other was 8 years old. Were they the ones who wrote the Imperial Majesty's blessing Luo Zhao? Would he still be able to take the imperial examinations next year? Everyone understood what he meant, but they preferred to listen to the original text instead of the translation. The translated version was unpleasant to listen to, but the original text was easy to understand. When outsiders arrive in Luoyang, send their children to the school first. The school will be responsible for their food and lodging. The others worked and helped to repair the houses outside the city. They also lived there. He worked for money, and the house was considered a rental. Waking up during surgery and knowing during surgery, or rather, waking up during anesthesia were 2 different things. Knowing during surgery meant that waking up during anesthesia was a medical accident. Waking up during surgery was the pinnacle of anesthesia. Li Yi took crab meat for Princess Yongmu and Xiaolan. He was skilled and treated it like a surgeon. In the end, he had to piece together a complete crab. Otherwise, when he operated on people, would they be in pieces? The pinnacle of technology was art. Li Yi enjoyed the process. Anyway, it was not a big deal if the crab made a mistake. Li finished processing a crab leg and took a break. He answered, deep-fried small sea crabs, those close to the crabs. You said it was good when you ate it. Different cooking methods. Crabs have different ways to eat. Then is Luoyang suitable for raising crabs? This was Bai Gu's goal. He wanted the people of Luoyang to raise crabs in large numbers. It's not suitable, at least not now. The economy of crabs depends on the consumption. Chang'an's field crab rice varieties are different from the current Hunan Prefecture's indica rice varieties. One is japonica rice, while the other is indica rice. The growth cycle of indica rice is short. If the crabs are harvested before they grow up, what about the crabs? Raise the freshwater mitten crabs as flatback crabs in the sea and fry them? Li Yi took another hairy crab and continued to quickly dissect it. He felt that old Bai was looking for trouble because he did not get to eat the crab meat he helped to prepare. You mean that Hunan Prefecture can raise crabs but not crabs? Bai Gu asked. Yes, they can, but it's not worth it. The railway and bridge have been repaired. This should be an important logistics transit center. The biggest advantage is deep processing. With logistics, there are many things that can be raised, planted, and processed. Why do we have to focus on crabs? As Li Yi spoke, the along the river during Qingming appeared in his mind. He shook his head. The along the river during Qingming was not as lively as the southern part of Chang'an. It could not even compare to the eastern and western cities. In the future, there would be many large warehouses in Luoyang, and people from various industries would participate. This old man understands. Repairing the bridge can provide jobs for countless people. Song Jing gently slapped the table, his face filled with excitement. Zhang Juling glanced at Song Jing. The people who are repairing the bridge have been arranged properly. The people who come later are not included. Repair the bridge. Map. Li Longji, who had been lowering his head to open the crabs, suddenly spoke. Qing Song opened the box and took out the map of Luoyang Palace. Beside him, Purple Jade also took out a map from its box. It was the map of Hunan Prefecture. Li glanced at his eldest disciple, who was helping the little guy deal with the crabs. The little girl noticed the situation and turned her head. Li winked and drew in the air with his hand. Just as the little girl was about to move, Li Guizhong opened the backpack of the tablet first, took out the tablet, tapped on it, and ran to Li Longji. Good, it's all good. Li Longji praised and took the tablet. On the screen was a map of the Yellow River. Qing Song and Purple Jade were speechless. For example, 3 years later, His Majesty was fortunate enough to visit Yangzhou and wanted to build a city in Yangzhou's Jiangyang. The newspapers reported how prosperous the area would be in the future and how the railway would be built along the canal. Naturally, the rich people in the area would be interested. The local land was prohibited from being bought and sold. If anyone wanted to sell, the local authorities would buy it. However, if there were people who were willing to participate in the construction, they could use it as a rental fee and choose a good location. Give them the blueprints and specifications, let them build it themselves, and rent it to them after they're done. Part of the cost of building the house will be deducted as rent. Li came up with an idea. Don't sell the houses in advance. Ask others to invest money and labor. After the house is built, it will not belong to the other party. Others will agree? Chu Daizhu Dan's eyes were filled with doubt as he asked. Ask the big businessmen in Chang, and if they agree. Li mentioned Yu Huai and the others. They will definitely agree, but why choose Jiangyang? Isn't Jiangning higher? It's easier to defend and attack from the south. Yao Chong knew that the big businessmen in Chang were rich and were training their children to take the imperial examinations. He allowed them to take the imperial examinations. He felt that Jiangning's terrain was good. There were many mountains, high terrain, and it was stuck in the Yangtze River. The place was low, and the enemy could attack by digging the river. If we don't fight there, it will cost a lot of money. Jiangyang has many water networks, and it's not far from Jiangning. We can slowly build Jiangning. Li Yi did not want to build a big city in Nanjing. It would be troublesome. Unless they lost the mountains and rivers north of the Yangtze River, they would build a capital in Nanjing. Chu Daizhu Dan understood, but he looked on helplessly. Tubo did not seem to be able to use the same method. Settle it. Bai Gu thought about not needing the Ministry of Revenue to pay for it, and was tempted. The emperor should be the one paying for the imperial city. The emperor had a lot of money, and other places would be spent by others, and then he would collect taxes. However, if it was 3 years later, he would probably have to join the Tuan heir. Third brother, why don't we settle it after this year? There is coal and iron ore locally. We can burn bricks and cement, and maintain it in the future. It will give the local people who have lost their land a chance to earn more money. The navy can go over, and Suzhou is not far from the sea. It can be built before next autumn. If you want to go, you can go. It's the same work anywhere. Li thought of Manshan. It was upstream, and after Nanjing was Yangzhou. It was connected to Suzhou in the south by a canal, and it reached Taihu Lake. Suzhou was different from his time. The emperor's soldiers will protect us on the way. Don't worry. As the woman spoke, she turned her head and found that her 4 daughters were all asleep. She looked up at the lamp and also felt sleepy. She yawned and pressed the cloth bag she had brought with her under her body. Chapter 1933. Including all of her and her daughter's belongings, more than a handful of exchange coupons. She used her husband's land and house to exchange for it, and sold it to her husband's family. How could the land and house only be worth this much money? When her husband was sick, other people helped her get the medicine, and the money for the medicine was a lot. In the end, the illness was not cured, but she owed a lot of debt. Looking at the expressions of her in-laws and the rest of the family, they couldn't wait to kill her and her daughter. Was that still a family? Coincidentally, His Majesty was in Luoyang, and allowed others to go there. She sold the house and land cheaply to her in-laws, and left with her daughter. Thinking back, the money for the medicine was not that much. If she gave birth to a boy, perhaps things would be different, right? Thinking about this, the woman fell into a deep sleep, the corners of her eyes still wet with tears. At dawn, it was a charming morning glow. Someone woke up first, and called the others to get up. They changed back into their own clothes, rinsed the hemp clothes provided by the relay station, and hung them on a rope outside to dry. The relay station had prepared meat soup, pickled vegetables, and pieces of black bread on the side for them to eat as they pleased. The village constable muttered, "I have to spend money again to provide straw raincoats and bamboo hats." Then he cut extra slices of cooked meat for the children. The meat was wolf meat, and 4 wolf skins were soaked in water in a large wooden bucket. Last night they came over, 4 of them. When the lights from the relay station shone over, the 4 pairs of eyes were very obvious. When the right golden guard on night watch saw this, he woke his brothers up and everyone raised their guns. At a distance of 50 to 60 steps, 3 of them were shot. The last one ran, but it still hesitated. It looked back from time to time, as if it wanted to remember who shot it. The range of the bullets was not only 50 to 60 steps. In the end, the slower one only suffered 1 round. At dawn, the people of the right golden guard went over and followed the blood trail to find the 2 wolves that had run several li away. The other 2 were very close to the place where they were beaten. The village constable and the courier helped to clean up. First, they cut a few large pieces of meat and minced them to make soup. The relay station would leave 3 wolves and give them the wolf skins. The right golden guard did not want them and told them to exchange them for money. The other 2 wolves would be given to the next relay station, and the 5 right golden guards would be in charge of 2 relay stations. The morning glow was so beautiful. The village constable did not know when it started to rain, so he took out the things from the storehouse. The commoners who were eating listened and didn't make a sound. "You guys are talking to me about our past relationship. I don't want to join the group. It's just 10% tax. Look at Xiaoyi's tax, 80%. He doesn't even feel the pinch when he makes millions of dollars from his trades. You Buddhists don't care about the common people? Taxes are collected from the people and used by the people. This old man has never been greedy." Thinking about it, Baigu grabbed a crab claw and bit it with his teeth. He had no choice. He had good teeth, so he dared to bite. Zhang Shumpeng was sweating. He used his tongue to secretly lick his 3 new incisors, wondering how long he could bite the crab like this without breaking. Bah! Baigu didn't notice it when he bit it, but when he ate it, he realized something was wrong. The shell was hard to swallow. "Bai Zaifu, do you feel that the crab claw meat is too little?" Zhang Shumpeng whispered. "No matter, your teeth are good. Your teeth." Baigu remembered that there was a person standing. Zhang Shumpeng smiled, revealing more than 10 teeth. Among them, there were 2 upper incisors and 1 lower incisor. The color was clearly different from the other teeth. In the summer, there were children playing in the water. There was a sudden rainstorm upstream, causing the water to surge. A student jumped into the water to save the children. When he saved the last child, a piece of wood rushed from upstream and hit the student's mouth. Fortunately, the student was breathing, and his lips avoided it. 3 of his teeth fell out. At that time he only felt numb. After that, the pain was unbearable. He found people to insert teeth in animal bones. The student felt uncomfortable biting them. Thanks to Dr. Li, I found a doctor to remove the teeth marks and replace them with new teeth. Zhang Shumpeng pointed to his teeth, and then pointed to the west. "Sit." Baigu's mood improved. The teeth that fell out while saving the children were not bad. Someone brought a small chair over. Zhang Shumpeng thanked him and sat down. He was afraid of Baigu's authority. He wasn't Li, who called him old by whenever they met. After the student banquet, "You will come with me to the mountains to find Xiao Yi to help you wash and bleach your teeth. After a long time, the new and old teeth will change color, but they will be the same color." Baigu believed the other party's words. The other party didn't dare to lie about this. How much did it cost? This student, Zhang Shumpeng, showed a trace of embarrassment. Zhu Yi and this old man had an agreement. All the people that this old man brings along are free of charge. Baigu smiled self-satisfied. Then he reacted. "Why would I say this to a student? I am a prime minister." "Thank you, Bai Zaifu." Zhang Shumpeng stood up and bowed again. He also felt that the color of his teeth was wrong. "Where is your hometown?" Baigu nodded and asked. I am a native of Luoyang, Jingxing Square south of Bay City. Records of the grand historian was a comprehensive history, so it was very important, even if the person who wrote it had his own subjective consciousness. It was the same for the history of the era. Whoever wrote it didn't have their own feelings. Therefore Li Yi liked Mount Song. He watched it in movies when he was young. At that time he didn't study history or research. Now Mount Song is such a good place. I collect 10% tax from you, but you still find trouble with Lao Bai and put pressure on him. Fine 50%. Are you going to pay? Is it your Buddhist religion that's better? Or is it my Li family's newspaper that's better? I'm here in Luoyang. I'll give the people a good life. Can you do it? I can fly in the sky. Who wants to fly? The pond is 10 meters deep. Who wants to tie a big rock with me and pull it up after an hour? Li Lang, do you want to kill people? Let the nurses practice. Princess Yongmu didn't know Li Yi's memories, but she could guess Li Yi's thoughts. She used to believe in Buddhism, but then she met Li Yi. Aya. Li Lang was much better than those people. No, they're smart. How can a person who can study the teachings so thoroughly not know the ways of the world? They looked for old Bai to test me. They wanted to know my intentions, and I gave them my will. To put it bluntly, some people want to use everything around them to gain the right to speak, but they don't have the ability to be the emperor. Then they will think of ways to influence the emperor, the way of Prince Yu. I can be the emperor, but I don't want to be the emperor. I can't deal with them. Li wanted to set an example. Mount Song, I'll start with you. I'll go back to the Kong family. The Kong family is now under the jurisdiction of Hunan province. Take back the land. They've taken over a lot of land, good farmland. Princess Yongmu had her own information channel. The noble ladies all came over. The noble ladies of Luoyang took the initiative to visit Wen Tian Lanxiang Pavilion. Does the tenant pay a fixed rent or an accompanying rent? Li Yi asked. Fixed rent. How much per mu? Even if there's no harvest, you have to pay. Princess Yongmu tilted her head and looked at Li Yi. You don't know? Yes, so we can't bully the Buddhists. We'll increase the rent by 10% and rent their land. We'll sign a 10-year contract. Li Yi was still acting like he wanted to kill Mount Song's Buddhists. Suddenly he became gentle. Let's see if they pay 50% tax first. If they don't, we'll kill them? Princess Yongmu still understood. Li Lang never had good intentions towards the people he targeted.